Alright everyone, we start off today with Biden's moron comments with regards to his gun control anti-crime spiel. Now part of it, what he was suggesting actually makes sense, which is freeing up more resources for community policing. Insofar as you're doing that alongside maintaining a normal force, especially for like crime related to mental illness, that can be a good idea. But everything else is basically, it boils down to, we need more wokeness and we need to go after them guns. This is a perennial Democrat take, which is that they want to continuously attack the Second Amendment in order to denigrate it. They get their shit kicked in by the courts usually, but they keep trying and do so in the name of fighting crime. But the thing is, Biden's initial tweet, if you look at it, literally his tweet about this, not the speech itself, but on Twitter, it accidentally admits to the reason why the crime rate spiked. It's because of lockdowns. Literally, he correlates those two together accidentally in his tweet. Just to be aware, it has nothing to do with increased numbers of guns. That was a trend that's been going on now for decades. Now, first and foremost, before I get into his particularly heretical comments there, if you're watching this video on YouTube, there will be a pinned comment down below, which will have links to 4 other video hosting sites that I use. Keep in mind, I make 4 videos a day. Only 2 of them are on YouTube, because otherwise YouTube punishes you algorithmically. It doesn't like workhorse creators like me anymore. Now it favors people who either just do a 1 stream a day thing, or priority creators. We get abused doubly. Link in the description. This is a laugh riot. Biden's like, well, those who say like the blood of the patriots and stuff, and of course he does the mushmouth thing, so I'm not going to bother replicating his dementia speech exactly, or I'd have the tweet open. Those who talk about blood of the patriots and going after the government, well, you better have nuclear weapons and some F-15s. I'm thinking to myself, first and foremost, the Taliban would like a word. The North Vietnamese would like a word. Koreans would like a word. Go on throughout time and name a modern war, an asymmetric style battle the U.S. won. We fought several to a stalemate, but we haven't, other than like, invasion of Grenada or something like that, other than when we use overwhelming force in very small areas. The U.S. military is great when it comes to guarding shipping lanes, guarding air traffic, and it's really good against symmetrical threats. Our military could kick the shit out of any other standing army in the world. It's very poorly geared towards that kind of enforcement. The problem with an insurgency is that tanks can't guard street corners effectively, especially when you have to worry about civilian casualties. Things like drone strikes and air strikes and stuff, they become, over time, your military takes demoralization attrition simply by being there because civilians inevitably get killed. Imagine if the U.S. military were deployed on domestic soil, which, by the way, would be under most cases illegal, unconstitutional rather, and had to shoot at U.S. civilians. It wouldn't be a very long war. The fact is that if Biden is seriously suggesting, and Swalwell did this already, so maybe they're in the dementia club together at this point. Bang bang fang fang. It seems like all of these people with Chinese ties keep saying things like this. If Biden is insinuating that he or the U.S. government at large would be willing to deploy nuclear weapons on domestic soil to quell an insurrection, then he's nuts and he should be removed from office under the 25th Amendment. He should be called on by the media to clarify these comments, but he won't, because of course he's their sweetheart. Much like Kamala. They're all fawning right now and asking Kamala to poop down their throats because it's so delicious, even though she's completely deflected on the border crisis, and now she's going to go 1,000 miles away from it and claim to be visiting the border in El Paso. I'll be covering that separately today because it's astonishing that the legacy media allows these morons to get away with such things. Now, do I think that this is Biden, like if Ben Shapiro says, or Rubin, do I genuinely believe that this is a statement that he would nuke U.S. citizens? No. He probably would be prevented from doing so by the military. Technically, the president has sole use of force of nuclear weapons, but if the president were to say, well, I'm just going to nuke these protesters, I don't think that would go over so well. In fact, I think that under any situation it'd make the problem worse because the rest of the country would then revolt, including most of the military. I don't think it would work. You'd have to basically nuke the entire United States from orbit, And it wouldn't even make, I mean, everyone else would be standing back astonished at the stupidity of the American government at that point. I guess the Russians would be like, well, the Cold War is over. We didn't even participate. What the fuck? We were hoping to get, Stalker or something like that. We were hoping that we could have Fallout 2 in acrylic, but now it won't happen. All we have to do is deal with the radiation winter. And I think it's more he's just demented. And so when he meanders off into something like this, and this appears to have been partially off script, which explains why it was dumb, it just never comes out right. Swalwell may have had this problem. In his tweet, it was a couple of years ago, he's like, well, your AR-15 can't deal with nuclear weapons. Actually, it can. I've already explained this, by the way. If you had 2 or 3% of the U.S. population go underground guerrilla warfare style, they could beat the U.S. military. That's the truth. With conventional small arms weapons easily obtained by civilians. Why? Because tanks and drones and shit require a lot of fuel and supply lines and a lot of strategy and electronics and a lot of logistics that small groups of people in the woods don't require. If you can't guard every trucking lane, every goddamn railway line, every airport at the same time in the U.S. military, along with the state guard and all the cops in the country can't do this, you'd lose. Because all of those fun toys, they're no longer fun because they don't work. And that's just the truth. Now, the other part is that nobody's claiming that they want to rise up against the U.S. government. There's some people that entertain pipe dreams of it. What people really do want is they want reform. They want the government to start representing the interests of the working and middle class, stop with the woke bullshit, stop pandering and wasting time and actually do something. It's, again, just like the reason why he's making this particular speech in the first place. It's related to rising gun crime. He himself makes the connection accidentally that the gun crime rate is correlated with the rise of lockdownism. That is, everything locked down, unemployment skyrocketed, drug use and alcoholism skyrocketed, ergo that has an effect on certain types of crime, especially property crime, not so much gang shootings and stuff. Gang affiliation, though, you get a bunch of out-of-work people, some of them join a gang. They want to deal drugs or something because there's no other form of income for them. You have people that feel despondent. People snap. People riot. We saw riots for an entire year. Biden and all the other Democrats cheered them on as they burned Wendy's. They cheered them on. There was never any attempt to reduce the crime that was the result of far-left violence in the country. We have a revolving door prosecutorial system. They never even see the inside of a cell for the most part. They spend overnight in jail. And then they throw out the charges, and then they go, and the next night they go and brick the cops some more. That's why you've got a high crime rate. Because leftist violence wasn't quelled, and all other forms of violence marginally increased anyway because of hopelessness, despair, unemployment, people losing everything because of government. The government caused the problem. What we should do is pass a constitutional amendment banning lockdowns in the future. That's what we should do. That would take care of the crime rate more. And instead of going after law-abiding gun owners, try to tackle the mental health crises that have been, again, exacerbated by government and will take years and years to put back at the level that they were at before. And again, things like depression, alcoholism and stuff, they can be hard to beat. Well, the government made that problem many times worse. A huge increase. Millions of new people addicted to various substances. Reversing, like, what, a decade of fucking progress? All because of blue state lockdowners and fascists being paranoid. That's the cause of the additional gun crime. Me going out and buying an AR-15 doesn't cause crime to rise, because I'm not going to go postal and start shooting people. And those that are actually committing the crimes, let's, be real here, by and large inner city gang members. Well, then end the drug war. Dry up their only main source of income, fuck the cartels, partner with Mexico and Honduras and these states, go wipe the cartels out. Why don't we bomb them instead of going into countries where we're not welcome? Why don't we get rid of the cartels, pressure Mexico to have a Second Amendment so that there's more than one gun store license in the whole fucking country? Maybe that would help. Maybe the narcos would be more afraid if the Mexicans were armed to the teeth. Maybe they'd have to go further south. It'd be a little bit more difficult for them to traffic to the U.S. Why don't we disband the CIA? There's the source of all the cocaine in the country. Why do you think it's still illegal? Then it's worth more. There's your problem. End the drug war. Focus on rehab and mental illness. and leave the law-abiding gun owners alone, and then get a president in there, in name at the moment, the Asterisk administration, the Steward of Gondor. Get somebody in there that's actually cognizant, knows what the fuck he's doing. That's about all. Peace out.